Now, it really gives me great pleasure to introduce you to a person who I'm immensely proud of. We used to know each other at the Delhi School of Economics, and now he's India's absolutely finest agricultural economist, Professor Ashok Gulati. Professor Gulati, from being a young kid at Delhi School, you really have done well. God bless you. And since you're a way junior to me, I expect a lot of respect.
Well, Pranay, you still have some hair, good crop on your head. It has disappeared in my case.
No. God bless you. Okay, Ashok, we really want to focus on key issues in agriculture for both the economic survey and the budget coming up. And the first thing I'd like to talk about, which we have discussed in the past, and that is, and I even mentioned this very strongly to Kerry when he came over from America in an interview. I said, look, please understand, Indian agriculture is different. We are dependent on the monsoon, we are dependent on rainfall, it's extremely volatile. Our farmers actually produce under great risk. They don't know what's going to happen, whether they're going to get a full output, they're going to get their income. It's a terribly difficult life, producing under uncertainty. And the most optimistic estimate that 50% of our agricultural land is irrigated. Irrigation is the one thing that stabilizes farmers' income. Shouldn't that be what budgets focus on? Irrigation, irrigation, irrigation.
You know, Pranay, to tell you very frankly, after the two successive droughts that the Modi government faced when they entered the union government in 2014, 2014-15 and 15-16 were two successive droughts. Now that has happened only 3 times in the last 100 years, you know. So they were literally driven to a very tight situation. And we at that time did discuss all these things, and we said what you are having is a policy of subsidies and doles and not as much investment in agriculture, and as you rightly said, irrigation is the prime candidate for that investment. So we did discuss, and Arun Jaitley at the time was the FM, and after a lot of discussions, 99 projects were shortlisted to be completed within the next 4 or 5 years, and 40,000 crores were allocated right away after that. Progress has not been as good as we had expected, but I would still say that the direction and the focus is very much on that. And today, as you rightly said, almost half of India's agriculture is irrigated. And in Punjab, almost 99% is irrigated, you know, so.
Right. I must say that that's really great to hear that your focus has been on irrigation. Of course, implementation has to happen. And I guess you and I will not relax until 85% of Indian agriculture is irrigated, because that is causing a lot of hardship. The other big problem, sorry, go ahead.
One little thing, you know, just increasing irrigation cover is not sufficient, because we are utilizing water in a very inefficient manner. So we must learn how to get maximum out of every drop of water. And groundwater, you know, 60% we are dependent on groundwater for irrigation, and that is depleting, especially in the northwest, like anything. So we need to learn, our cropping patterns need to be right, and how to use irrigation rather than just flood irrigation.
Absolutely right, exactly. Must learn to use that water carefully and with sustainability. The other big problem which really troubles me, and I'm sure troubles you, is that we have huge stocks of food grain. In fact, I think this year, a simple projection where it peaks, which is around June, July, it'll cross for the first time 100 million tons of rice and wheat stocks. At the same time, we've got children malnourished, we've got a lack of nutrition, poverty. I just can't get over the fact that we've got stocks of food grain and children dying just looking at that stocks. Those stocks are actually being eaten by rats and rodents, right? Can't something be done? It really is a shock to me that we have 100 million tons and poverty.
Let me first speak about the stock situation right away. On 1st of January, because there are quarterly norms, the buffer stock norm for rice and wheat that the country should have in the central pool is 21.4 million tons. That is what the optimal level of stocks should be in the country.
That's the buffer, yeah, right.
Yeah, buffer stock
I think
norm.
I worked on that when I was in the ministry, by the way. What is the optimal level? Yeah.
What is the actual stock today? 1st of January 2022, 86.9 million tons. It's more than four times the buffer stock norm we are having. The excess part of the stock, the economic value in terms of economic cost of that is 2.14 lakh crores. 2.14 lakh crores. That is the excess sitting without a purpose. You know, if it was Tata's or anybody else, and if you want to mobilize resources, instead of selling off your, which I appreciate the government took a bold step to sell off Air India finally. But the major reforms and the resources you can mobilize, this is a dead capital stock locked in for doing nothing. And as you said,
very well put.
Are eating.
Correct.
Now the question that you have is actually malnutrition. Now malnutrition cannot be removed even if you give free food. Okay? Food is only one part, and wheat and rice certainly not the entire
Yes. It'll help. Quite It'll help, but would not solve it. Yeah.
In fact, we did a unit level analysis of 3 NFHS surveys. And what we found that the most powerful determinant of malnutrition in the country or nutrition is women education. Women education, if they are better off, then they can feed their children better and they themselves have better earning capacity, if at all.
Very correct. No, but just, I agree with that. There are many aspects to malnutrition, absolutely. I've had long discussions with Gawande on this. But you know, just to have a 4 or 5 rotis on a child's plate every day will help. I agree it won't solve it. But
it will help.
The figures you mentioned, I'm so glad that you mentioned those data points, you know. 86 million tons when we need 21.
86.9.
The amount. Yes, shouldn't forget. Okay, moving on to the next thing. And I've read everything you've written over the last couple of years on minimum support price and the advantages of getting rid of it. But now, I just want a little move beyond that. It's not going to get rid of. It's going to be there. So as we Sardar say, agge chalo, chak de fatte. Now, if it's going to be there, and again I must tell you, going back when I was in the finance ministry, we did use minimum support prices of sugarcane to encourage farmers to move to sugarcane, which was sugar was in a big shortage at that time. So if the MSP is here to stay, like it or not, can we use it to try and change our cropping pattern? In other words, make other crops relatively more profitable than wheat or rice, and so farmers switch to it and make it more stable. Just a thought.
Let me respond in 2 parts. One is that half of agriculture value, that is livestock and horticulture, which is 50% more nutritious for your malnutrition point of view, and is growing at triple the rate of wheat and rice rate of growth, right? And they don't have any MSP. Okay, so the market-driven economy is moving in that direction, which is high value, which is perishable, bigger challenge, but still growing at 3 times faster than the wheat and rice story, right? But still, if you want to say that MSP of other crops and procurement of other crops should be made then you have to think how much you want to go ahead. Because if you have wheat and rice procurement open-ended and you are landing up with 4 times the buffer stock norms, massive lockup of stock, you are going to create another 4 FCIs, NAFEDs of this world with all these
No, you shouldn't overdo it. Tell me, which crops are we a bit short of? Are we short of pulses? Are we short of even vegetables, onions? We seem to keep importing onions.
Edible oils.
Yeah.
Shortage because 60% of our edible oil consumption in the country is being imported. The issue is that what cost you are going to produce. You know, the palm oil is the cheapest oil in the world. It can produce 4 tons per hectare, whereas any other crop, you take mustard or groundnut or sesame or any other crop, will give you not more than 400, 600 kilograms per hectare. So the question is, if you raise the prices by, let's say, 50% more to get self-sufficiency, Atmanirbharta in edible oils, you will need tariff levels of 80%, 90%, 100%. Do you want to develop that type of Atmanirbharta at a tariff level of 80%, 90%? That's the issue of efficiency.
You know, I mean, I seriously feel, you have a point, but I seriously feel that if you make other crops, and maybe not only edible oil, but yes, a very good example, relatively more profitable than wheat or rice stocks will come down, production will come down, and where we're a bit short, that will go up.
I'm giving you the example of mustard. You know, our tariff levels are about 45% or so on mustard oil. And people are crying that the mustard prices, which used to be 100 rupees a kg last year, are 170 rupees a kg. So are you going to, efficiency, it's a very tight rope walk for the political masters, giving higher
political master, you see. That brings me to my next point. It's you urban people. You want low food prices and you don't want farmers to make money. So how do you handle this contradiction that farmers want high food prices, urban areas, middle class, which are much more vocal politically, as you said, it's very tough, urban middle class want low food prices. So farmers and the urban population, the middle class, are in contradiction there. How do you handle that?
No, this is a very good question, and I must say I have fought this battle for almost 30 years now on this question, that our policy is biased towards consumers and discriminates against farmers. Now, there are 2 ways. One is getting the markets right and allowing the prices to go up for the farmers and unhindered exports and no stocking controls and allow the futures and all that. That is the market economy framework. What you are saying is you start procuring more of other commodities. How much more and at what tariff levels you want to promote that self-sufficiency.
Right. How much can you afford? Yeah.
But the fact is, if you want to give wheat and rice at 2 rupees and 3 rupees kg to 67% of population, all your resources are literally gone there. This is the consumer bias in the system. Now, why you and me should get lower prices for... So, if even the multi-dimensional poverty index of NITI lately has come up with 25% poverty in the country in 15-16 NFHS data that they have come. Why do we want to give free food literally to 67% of population? Can you not restrict it to just 30% of population and then allow the prices for others to go up? So you will have to have a balance.
Balance, Okay, so much politics, but you have really hit the nail on the head in giving numbers to how much excess stock we have, how much it's going to cost if you're going to raise MSP of other crops relative to white rice and wheat to bring their production down. You have put it in perspective. And that's all my training. At Delhi school, didn't I train you for that?
We learned together. in Ashok Lahiri's room.
I want to take credit for everything. So, but thank you very, very much for joining us. That was very useful and very clear, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.